bring our people closer together. We're working hard on your accession process. We're preparing for your future as a free and modern country inside the European Union.
And we'll leave for questions. Let's start with Inter TV.
Hello, Inter TV channel, Ukraine. My name is Nina Kolomiyets. The first part of my questions is to President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Mr. President, the US State Department has confirmed suspension of certain categories of weapon supplies to Ukraine. What details have been clarified? Which types of weaponry are currently on hold? What are the reasons behind this pause? And how do you assess the outlook for continuing US military assistance to Ukraine? And the second part of my question is to European leaders and our partners. In light of this pause in US arms deliveries, is Europe prepared to partially or fully fill the gap? Which countries are ready to respond in what quantities, and over what time frame can this support be mobilized? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. So, first of all, of course, we count on continuation of American support, but there are some items which Europe, it's a pity, but which Europe doesn't have for today, especially when we speak about PAC-3. I mean that missiles for Patriot systems. This is crucial, yes, and also when we speak about systems. But we count also on our Ukrainian production. We need more financing, more funds for this. We spoke about it today also, and we have, God bless, we have really good relations, and we count on EU, on Denmark, and on our relationships, and we have really some very important programs which mentioned Madam President already, and I think it will be very helpful. What about our bilateral relation with the United States and this support? So I hope that maybe tomorrow or in close days, these days, I will speak about it with the President Trump.
If I can add some few words, I think what is necessary to say to all good partners is that the war in Ukraine has never only been about Ukraine, it's about Europe. And therefore, if we are to protect Ukraine and Europe and the transatlantic alliance, we have to ensure that Ukraine gets the help that you need. So, of course, all of us hope that US will continue their support for Ukraine and, because of Ukraine, for Europe. But if there are any gaps, then I personally believe that we should be willing to fill in. And I was almost saying I'm happy, but that's not the right word to use because there's a war going on in Europe. But I'm quite proud of the cooperation we have when it comes to supporting production directly in Ukraine. It's working because of you and your companies. But I would like to put this message on the table also to the rest of the European leaders that you have more capacity than we have financing. So you will be able to produce more also on very critical capabilities in Ukraine if we are able to find more financing. So I think that could be the next step for Europe.
Can I compliment?
Yes, of course.
I think it's very important to spread the message to our member states that now financial possibilities are there to support directly Ukraine. On one hand, there is a national escape clause. So this gives national fiscal flexibility to invest in defense capabilities, which can go also to Ukraine. Then there's the safe joint procurement. And here, very important, they can directly invest in the Ukrainian defense industry. And as you said, defense industry has still capacities. Important is this pays into the NATO target. So it's a triple win for the member states if they do these investments for their own security, for Ukraine's security, and for their NATO target.
Please.
Just to add that since the beginning of this year, the member states have already supported own military capabilities with 24 billion euros. Now they can do more. But stress that this is not only about Ukraine and about Europe. This is, in fact, about international law. Because Russia aggression on Ukraine is violating the international law. Sovereignty, territorial integrity, international recognized borders, and this is a threat for the global security. And it's the reason because the support Ukraine needs to engage all of the countries who are supporting international law.
That's up, please.
News agency Ritzau. Yeah. Mr. Zelenskyy, we see specific countries blocking the Ukrainian way into the European Union. How crucial is it for Ukraine to get any progress on becoming a member state of the European Union during the next 6 months where Denmark holds the presidency? And Mette Frederiksen, how do you plan as presidency to get around these specific countries blocking for Ukrainian acceptance?
Thank you so much. From our side, we do our best during the war, really. And I want to thank all our people, the government, parliamentarians, and society which support all these laws, reforms, what we needed very much to open clusters. Yes, and during the war it's very difficult, really tough situation, you understand, because of security. Even sometimes, we spoke about it, sometimes it's just difficult to be together in one building, all the government and parliamentarians, because of the attacks. I mean, and they have to provide reforms anyway. And we are on this way. We stood on this way, and we want to go further forward to be a member of EU. That's why we need support. And I think nobody can stop Ukraine in this way, any one country. And of course, it depends on unity in EU, such decisions. So from our side, we will do everything. And we need support from all other leaders in EU. You know, such countries which are... This is a sensitive question, I think, but in any way, at the end of the day, in any way, we will manage it.
Mr. Zelenskyy, can I just ask you...
Oh, sorry, no. Anas, please.
Can I ask
Please. Anas, please. Prime Minister, please.
one question?
I was just going to put an answer to Ritzau. First of all, for us it's very clear that Ukraine belongs to not only the European family when it comes to the European Union, but also the transatlantic alliance when it comes to NATO. But for now, enlargement of the European Union is crucial. Volodymyr has already spoken about how important it is for Ukraine. And I would like to add for the rest of Europe as well, because it will bring stability to the European continent, having Ukraine as a member. The concrete steps, I can't share that with you yet. Of course, we are thinking about what is the best way forward. It's my feeling that the vast majority of the member states are in favor of a Ukrainian membership of the European Union, because Europeans know that a secure Ukraine means a more secure Europe. But the concrete steps, it's a bit too early to say anything about them. Sorry.
And we'll do La Vanguardia, please.
Hi, it's Anna Buch from La Vanguardia. To President Costa, after in the European Council, the 27 member states agreed to boost defense spending. They agreed also in NATO, but my question is, will they still be able to do it at the same time on filling the gap if the pause from the US delivery is permanent? And to President Zelenskyy, what do you expect of the call between President Trump and President Putin? Thank you.
What we decided in the European Council is to add efficiency and to ensure that the member states could spend better by standardization, by interoperability, by demand aggregation, by joint procurements, by common projects. And this is a great contribution to help all member states to deliver on this. The Commission have presented a package with the escape clause, more the safe, to create more fiscal room. And, very, very important, each euro spent by the member states supporting Ukraine could be account to the 3.5% or the 5% to on NATO. Then we are not creating a difficulty, but is €1 could be used at the same time to Ukraine, to European defense, and your own defense.
Thank you. We will answer.
About that dialogue between phone call between Trump and Putin. I don't know. I'm not sure that they have a lot of common ideas, common topics to talk, because they are very different people. But if we speak about Ukraine, we supported from the very beginning the idea of President Trump, unconditional ceasefire. I said it not once that we are ready for any kind of format of meeting. And I think that in Russia only Putin real decision makers. That's why we need meeting on the level of leaders if we really want peace.
And answer, please.
Leyen and Costa, for their point of view, the veto of one member state on Ukraine's accession can be still overcome, and how? And is there a plan B on it?
You want to start? Yeah. Well, so first of all, it is very important to acknowledge that Ukraine is doing complicated, hard and complex reforms while fighting a war for their survival. This is impressive to see how fast they are moving forward. And I want to be very clear. We have agreed in our accession process that the accession process is merits-based. It's not a political process where you can take shortcuts or leapfrog forward. It's a merits-based process. The Commission has affirmed that Ukraine deserves all the merits to move on, to open the first cluster. So, therefore, this is now intense talks going on, that we stick to our own principles, that is, a merits-based process.
First of all member states, by unanimity, decided to open these negotiations on 2022 and approve this process. Then the negotiation is an ongoing process. Is a negotiation who takes time, and we cannot waste time. Then we don't need to stop. Nobody needs to be blocked. We can continue working. Until now, in this such difficult situation, the truth is Ukraine is delivering, making the reforms, and the assessment from the European Commission is very clear. Ukraine is doing very well, and we should continue the negotiations. Then I invite the Commission, I invite Ukraine to continue your work. You cannot waste time, because we need to conclude this, and when it comes the moment to take a decision, we have already done what we need to do to obtain the approval. And as you know, one member state believes that the accession could be only when we achieve a just and lasting peace in Ukraine. And of course, all of us are fighting and supporting Ukraine to achieve a just and lasting peace as soon as possible. And in the meantime, we need to do what in any case we need to do, is to negotiate, to deliver the reforms, to evaluate the reforms, to have and this is what we are doing. That we don't need to stop. We don't need to say that we are blocked. No, we are working, and the working is going on.
I think, Antonio, if I may say, invitation accepted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. That will conclude the press conference. Thank you.
Can I ask you one question? Everybody wants peace in Ukraine. How can the Danish presidency help you in this?
To strengthen us, as you did before. Thank you. Thank them.
Man kan også køre ind på andre steder, men jeg ved det jo ikke. kører preset 6 her. Mistet i løbet. Det er simpelthen for dumt.
Og som desværre også gik igen i sidste uge, da jeg også mødtes med den ukrainske forsvarsminister.
Nej, nu er jeg lige parret med den der.
kommer udspillet lidt den. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure. Great pleasure. Okay. Well, congratulations.
both of us. Vos Excellences, Messieurs, dames les ministres, Messieurs, dames, chers invités, soyez tous les bienvenus ici à Aarhus. Your Majesties, the King and the Queen, Your Excellencies, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, welcome to Aarhus. And welcome to this official opening ceremony for the Danish Presidency of the Council of the European Union. My name is Stephanie Suruk. I am a news correspondent from Denmark. I'm half French, half Danish, so fully European and fully grateful to guide you through this evening. Tonight, we mark a significant moment. Denmark assumes the presidency of the Council of the European Union for the 8th time of our history. It's an honor, and it's an honor that comes at a particularly critical time. Europe today is facing some of the most complex and serious challenges in recent history, from geopolitical uncertainties to a growing pressure on our shared values and global partnerships.
And it's in times like these that unity, cooperation and open dialogue are more essential than ever. And it's in that spirit that we gather here tonight. And what better place to begin this new chapter than right here in the city of smiles. Yes, that is what we Danes call the city of Aarhus, the city of smiles, and for a good reason. Tonight we are having the honor of being inside of this beautiful Aarhus City Hall, designed by the world-renowned Danish architect Arne Jacobsen. It's a true architectural gem, right here in the heart of a city that is known for, yes, its smiles, but also its energy, its optimism, and its European spirit. In fact, just outside this building, a European street festival is taking place. So if you happen to hear some loud cheers during this evening, don't worry, it's a party and it's ours. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great honor to invite the Prime Minister of Denmark to the stage. Please welcome Ms. Mette Frederiksen.
Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I am honored to see all of you here in wonderful Aarhus. If you look around, you see the work of, as just been said, one of our most famous architects, Arne Jacobsen. This beautiful city hall was built during the Second World War, in the darkest hour of modern European history. Back then, there was a lack of materials. Iron bands in the right size for the construction of the roof were not available. So what did the craftsmen do? Did they wait for the war to end? No. They collected small pieces of iron from all over Denmark. And they put all these pieces together to form the strong iron bands holding the roof together. Even in the most difficult times, we can build something great and beautiful. But only if we join forces and put together all the small pieces. Right now, Europe is facing the greatest challenges since the 1940s. Russia's brutal war against Ukraine, democratic elections targeted by foreign powers, pressure on Europe's external borders for migration, global economic uncertainty. Today, it is clear peace and stability on our continent cannot be taken for granted. The world order that we build together is trembling, and our security and our way of living is under pressure. The past 6 months have shown that Greenland and Denmark can rely on European family and friends when the storm hits us. The unity of Europe is real, and Europe can be strong when need is. Ladies and gentlemen, you represent decision makers, companies, unions, youth associations, and the press. To address the challenges Europe faces, all at the same time, we need every one of you, not only to defend the interest of your stakeholders, but to take on responsibility and to join efforts to build a stronger Europe. Dear Ursula and dear Antonio, all construction projects need architects with visions. And we are lucky to have you in the forefront, drawing up the way forward. And during our presidency, Denmark is ready to support both of you. First of all, we need to pave the way for a much stronger European defence. Russia has converted into a war economy, and I see no signs that Putin's imperial dreams stop with Ukraine. If we as Europeans, if we are not able, if we are not willing to defend ourselves, then what is Europe? It was a grave mistake to cash in the peace dividend. A big mistake. For too long we spent too little, and we must never repeat that again. We have to rearm ourselves. We have to scale up our defence industry. We have to break down barriers and obstacles in our way. And as presidency, we will push for common ground on how to get there. Europe must be able to defend ourselves no later than 2030. And here we need to look to our Ukrainian friends. Dear Volodymyr, right now, European security rests far too much on the shoulders of your brave countrymen and women. You are fighting for your own country, and you are fighting for the rest of Europe. We cannot and we will not lay you down. We must We must continue our steadfast support for Ukraine and increase the pressure on Russia with more sanctions. We need to look at our support to Ukraine in a different way. We have to change our mindset. Our donations are not charity. They are part of our defence of our common continent, of Europe, of our life and our freedom. And we need to learn from Ukraine, your determination, your sense of urgency, and your ability to innovate. In only a couple of years, Ukraine has built an incredible defence industry. Now we must show that we can do the same in the rest of Europe, and we don't have a single second to waste. Secondly, building a strong Europe is also about migration. Right now, cynical smugglers have the power to decide who can enter Europe and who cannot. We need, of course, to be in control with our own borders. Who can enter and stay in our countries, that needs to be a democratic decision. Many come here to work and to contribute, but some do not. And around Europe, we now see the consequences: crime, radicalization, and terror. We have built some of the most and best societies ever, but we cannot accept anyone who wants to come here. Those that commit serious crimes, they should be expelled. We need to address these challenges. We need to address them head on, take firm action on migration and criminal foreign nationals, because this is all about ensuring that our societies and our citizens are safe. Third, we need to build a stronger Europe economically. European companies should have the best opportunities to succeed in the global markets, to create jobs of the future here in Europe. We must cut red tape and remove burdens, reduce our dependencies, bring Europe forward in a just way for all of our citizens. And while others build tariff walls, we should build new partnerships. Get Mercosur rolling, finalize an agreement with India, not just for the sake of trade, but also for the sake of building strong alliances in a very uncertain world, without ever compromising what makes Europe special. Our social model, our cities where people can live and work, our green leadership. And this is a message for all the commissioners. We need to see the green transition as key to our competitiveness, our independence, especially from Russia, our future. We need to combat climate change and adapt to the dramatic changes that we already see. Floods, storms, but it is not only a matter of fighting climate change. It's not only a matter of creating more and better lives in our cities, not only a matter of strengthening our society. It's all at once and with no time to lose. That is why it is key that we need to set a long-term EU climate target for 2040. It is hard to believe. It is hard to believe, but Russia remains the second largest exporter of gas to the European Union. Every cent we send to Russia is a support for Russia's war machine. We cannot continue paying them, killing Europeans. We need to work hard to end all import of Russian gas. At the same time, we must bring down our energy costs and roll out clean energy and infrastructure at a level we have never seen before, for ourselves, but also for our children and grandchildren. Ladies and gentlemen, I have trust in Europe, a Europe that will no longer seek shelter behind others, a Europe that is ready to stand up for ourselves, defend ourselves, a Europe standing proud. Let's go to work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Prime Minister, for those inspiring words. And now it's my pleasure to invite the President of the European Council to deliver his remarks. Please welcome Mr. Antonio Costa to the stage.
Your Majesties, dear Mette, dear Volodymyr, dear Ursula, of course, dear Mayor of Eros, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the start of a new rotating presidency is a moment of renewed energy. Rotating presidencies play an essential role in ensuring national ownership of the European Union. They serve an excellent reminder that our Union is composed of 27 distinct national sensitivities, cultures and interests. The motto of the Danish presidency is a strong Europe in a changing world. Under your leadership, dear Mette, I am confident that we will continue to make Europe more secure, more competitive, the two main priorities of the Danish presidency. Let me begin with security, because without it, all other ambitions falter. A secure Europe is not a slogan, it is a duty to protect our citizens, uphold our values and defend our future. NATO is indispensable. At the same time, the European Union is assuming greater responsibility in building a common European defence system that deters aggressions. That is why we are working hard to achieve defence readiness by 2030, boosting our capabilities, investing better collectively, more rationally and efficiently, combining different financial tools. Denmark is a leader of European security, and it is setting an example in its steadfast support to Ukraine, militarily and financially, on reconstruction and boosting the Ukrainian defence industry with direct procurement under the so-called, but very purpose-called, Danish model. Together, we will continue to stand firmly by Ukraine with long-term support and a clear path to the European Union membership. Because enlargement is not a bureaucratic process. It is a strategic investment in peace, stability, and our shared European future. In fact, it is the European Union's best geopolitical investment. And I know we can count on the Danish presidency to push forward the negotiations with Ukraine and also Moldova and the 6 Western Balkans countries. The second pillar of your presidency is economic competitiveness. Both pillars reinforce each other. A more competitive Europe is a safer Europe, and a Europe with a more robust defence industry will be a more autonomous, innovative and technological Europe. Indeed, we need an European Union that leads in innovation, delivers prosperity and good quality jobs, and attracts talent. Trade is a fundamental component of this effort. That is why the European Union needs to continue its ambitious fair trade agenda with partners all over the world. The core of our economic strength, the European Union's economic superpower, is the single market. But it must be modernized and deepened. We need to simplify the rules that govern our businesses and cut red tape. We are doing that already, and we need to redouble our efforts. Competitiveness and green transition, as you said, are two sides of the same coin. Actually, the green transition is Europe's chance to lead, to create clean jobs, attract investments, and reinforce our energy security and our economic resilience. Denmark has a very strong record in these fields, and we count on the Danish presidency to take this work forward in preparation of the successful COP30 in Brazil in November. In a nutshell, we need to invest in defence to ensure peace. We need a more competitive Europe to ensure prosperity for our citizens, leaving no one behind. And we need to fight climate change to preserve our existential security. All three of these priorities are interconnected. To deliver on all of them, we must prepare a long-term budget that matches our ambitions. A budget that equips us to act decisively, together, as Europe, in the more volatile world. Advancing the budget discussion will be a key task for the Danish presidency, ahead of a leaders' discussion in December. These tasks will require skillful and creative negotiations. And who better than Denmark, global leaders in creative design and architecture, to take them forward. Dear friends, excellencies, as the Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard once said, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Today, as we look ahead, we must also learn from Europe's past, a past that tells us that solidarity and cooperation is our greatest strength, a past that tells us that our common future depends on our determination. And I know, dear Mette, that determination is your middle name. In Euros, where democracy, climate leadership, and openness interest, it is fitting to reaffirm our shared commitment to a European Union that protects, to an European Union that prospers, to an European Union that leads. Together with you, Mette, with you, dear Ursula, I'm sure we will be a Team Europe that delivers for our citizens. Thank you and best wishes for a successful Danish presidency. Thank you.
Thank you so much for those words, Mr. President. And now it's my honor to invite the President of the European Commission to share her reflections with us. Please give a warm welcome to Ursula von der Leyen.
Your Majesties, Prime Minister dear Mette, President Zelenskyy, dear Volodymyr, my dear friend Antonio, Mr. Mayor, esteemed hosts, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, there is no more fitting setting to mark the start of Denmark's presidency than this remarkable building, designed by one of your great 20th century's visionaries, Arne Jacobsen. This building is not only a work of art, but also a triumph of function. It captures what makes Denmark so special. The ability to blend style and practicability, to unite tradition with modernity, to stand strong and independent. Aarhus embodies those same values. Gothic spires rise beside biotech labs. Green innovation flourishes next to cobbled streets. It is a city rooted in history, yet fully focused on the future. I cannot think of a better place to discuss the way forward for our union. Prime Minister dear Mette, I remember the speech you gave at the closing of the Danish Parliament last May. You said something powerful, yet simple. You said, Europe is here. And that is so true. And today we deliver on the promise of this Danish presidency to build a strong Europe in a changing world. One that can stand on its own and deliver for the people of Europe. And that starts with Ukraine. Dear President, my friend Volodymyr, Europe continues to stand by your side. We maintain our financial support across all fronts, militarily, economically, and politically. We continue to put pressure on Russia and will soon deliver the 18th round of sanctions. And we will continue to move forward with your accession process because Ukraine's future is at the heart of the European Union. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that a strong Europe relies on a strong economy, on leading in technologies of tomorrow, and creating new jobs and opportunities. Here in Denmark and Aarhus, you are showing the way. From offshore wind to green hydrogen, from design to pharma, from artificial intelligence to aerospace, Danish companies are not just thriving, you are showing how we can lead in the sustainable economy of tomorrow. And crucially, you are building on the foundation of your social market economy, one that combines competitiveness with protection, that shows how governments, business and citizens can work together for the common good. And this is the essence of the European way. A society that protects its people, but also enables them to take risks, to adapt and to succeed. This is the model we must strengthen, so that Europe does not only respond to change, but shapes it. Ladies and gentlemen, to build a stronger Europe, we need courage and we need optimism. And nowhere is that optimism more alive than here in Aarhus. The Smiletsby, the city of smiles indeed. A city where over half the population is under 30. A city where heritage meets a high-tech future. So let us begin this presidency with the energy of Aarhus, with the clarity of Arne Jacobsen, and with the courage of the Danes that our times demand. I look forward to working very closely with you in the months ahead, my dear Mette. Thank you very much to all Danes, and long live Europe.
Thank you so much for those words, Madam President. And now, dear guests, it's my great honor to welcome to the stage His Excellency Mr. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, the President of Ukraine.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Your Majesties, thanks so much. And dear Mette, my friend, thank you so much for the invitation. Such a beautiful city, such a strong people. Thank you for your support. Thanks. And of course, dear Ursula, dear Antonio, all of our friends, colleagues. Once again, congratulations to Denmark, our close friend, personally Mette, along with your team, as Denmark begins its presidency of the EU Council. We can be confident this will be a time of strong and principled decisions, and that means a time of predictability. Predictability has become a rare thing these days. But Denmark is a country that leaves no room for doubt. It's a country and a people we can rely on. Denmark brings a sense of predictability, and you keep your promises, and together we achieve meaningful results. Thank you for that. And I also want to thank our friends leading the EU institutions, Antonio and Ursula. Even on such symbolic days, like the start of the presidency, we don't stop at symbolism. We make real decisions. It's important. We talked about how important it's to close the gaps in defense funding. We are working to get real results from our joint defense programs, and we are getting things ready so that EU can keep its promises. Ukraine is ready to open the accession clusters, ready to move forward with the negotiations, and ready for decisions that benefit both sides. Thank you for your support. Ladies and gentlemen, we in Ukraine created a special national award for children. I told this story today to Mette, and it's for boys and girls who have shown bravery during Russian attacks or helped in other dangerous situations, volunteered or shown civic leadership. The award is called The Future of Ukraine, and truly our future depends on whether we can raise children who care, who are not indifferent to others, who are willing to help. As this visit began, I had an honor of presenting this award to a boy who lives here in Denmark, and he's a Danish citizen. His name is Jens, and he's just 11 years old, like my son. But his kindness, he's 11, but his kindness and care have already made a difference and inspired many adults. Jens made Easter crafts in blue and yellow, Ukraine's national colors, sold them and bought backpacks to send that to Ukrainian children who really need help. And it was deeply moving. But if you think about it, this was also deeply political. Wanting to help, to support others, to not stay on the sidelines in a time of war. That's a powerful message in itself. And this is exactly the kind of message that lies at the heart of the European Union, at the heart of our unity. We are united and we work together, and our Europe needs the EU for mutual support, for shared protection, and for the very values shown by Jens, by you and by millions of Europeans every day. Compassion, sincerity, and the will to help someone in need, even if that person is far from your home. And we must not forget this. All our European institutions, all our agreements, all our cooperation and joint work for security is all built around this idea that Europeans care for one another and act like human beings in this fullest sense of the word. This is why we need the European Union. And this is why we must defend Europe, not only from outside enemies, but also from those inside who try to replace solidarity with division, and compassion with a cold disregard for anyone but themselves. Dear friends, the next 6 months of Denmark's EU presidency will go by fast. Time always flies. The most important thing is that we achieve what we all truly want. First, we need to protect the EU from those who are trying to break it apart, often for personal and corrupt reasons. The EU must stay strong because it gives strength to every European nation in global competition. And the EU must keep its promises, especially when it comes to enlargement. And I hope that during Denmark's presidency, the EU accession negotiations with Ukraine will move forward and the clusters will finally be open. Second, we all understand that Russia is not just some dangerous neighbor, that much is obvious. It's something more deliberate. an anti-European project. Everyone in Europe can clearly see this. Russia invests in everything that goes against our European way of life. That's why we must not let them win, not in this war and not in any part of our future. We need biting sanctions against Russia. We need steady defense support for Ukraine. We need to build up Europe's own defense industry so that Russia cannot outmatch us in any area. All of this is vital for keeping Europe safe. And we have to keep putting pressure on Russia to make them stop the war, respect their neighbors and choose peace. As long as Russia gets a high price for its oil, it keeps fighting. That's why we need a strict price cap. As long as Russia finds ways to buy parts and equipment for weapons, it keeps killing. That's why we need a full stop to all supplies to Russia of anything that is or could be used for making weapons. It's high time we established an efficient international platform to control dual-use exports, and it could be one of the achievements of the Danish presidency. We can work on it together, and we need to cut off Putin and his buddies from money. As long as Russian banks can still operate in Europe and other key parts of the world, Russia keeps ignoring diplomacy. We must push it back toward diplomacy. Third, even if it's not easy, we must do everything we can to keep cooperation between Europe and the United States strong. Yes, Europe should rely more on itself, especially when it comes to defense and protecting our people. But it's always better to be in an alliance than in disagreement. So the next 6 months should bring real progress to protect our partnerships and make our cooperation stronger. No matter what anyone says, Europe is and will stay one of the world's strongest players and a leader in human rights. Europe must also become a global leader in technology, especially in defense technologies. That's a key goal. And most importantly, Europe must be a continent of peace. Let's use the next 6 months to make the right decisions, especially for that. Thank you. Slava Ukraini.
Thank you so much.
You know, he graduated from this university. Yeah. From exactly this. Coming home. Coming home. Yeah. Which makes sense. I would get all of it.